Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to World War II in Depth. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about LAN lag, or engine processing delays, because CWL Dallas, the first big competitive event for Call of Duty World War II, is just days away. I'll be attending coincidentally, so if you happen to be going, be sure to stop by and say hello. But there is a little bit of lag in this game on LAN, and even though it's an uncomfortable topic, almost every game has some sort of processing delay, engine delay, or lag on LAN because, well, that's how networking works. And as we have seen from previous Call of Duty games, sometimes this delay can get quite big. So the question is, how well does Call of Duty World War II perform on LAN? Because knowing that performance could give you, a player in the open bracket, an idea of what's going on and hopefully prevent a situation like this from ever happening again.
Stop this bomb from being planted for 12 more seconds.
Oh my gosh, and now they're just going to chase after him because... And there it is! TP picks it up! Woo! Killa not happy about that one.
Killa, how did it happen?
So this is my super high-end, well-engineered LAN setup in my room. It's I've worked on literally tens of engineering projects that are better set up than this, but that is a PlayStation 4 LAN, and it's going to my computer, which has two Elgato capture cards, and will capture both games simultaneously while we're playing LAN. This is literally what I'm doing right now, but it's frame for frame in sync, and this is an excellent way to measure engine processing and LAN lag. Now, the one that they'll have at CWL Dallas will have a neutral host PlayStation, a bigger switch, and more players, so in theory, that one may have slightly more LAN lag, but I would just wager very, very slightly, like maybe a frame, if that, and that's kind of generous. So let's go ahead and see how things are looking. The first thing I wanted to test in World War II is how long it takes a hit to register, and as you can see, there is a slight animation delay, registering processing delay, but once the hit registers, it registers on both players at the same time. You'll notice that the hit marker and the red damage indicator flinch starts at the exact same time, which is good. That means the hits are registering, even though there is a little bit of a processing delay on the animation. Compared to Infinite Warfare has a bigger animation delay, but the bullets and hit markers still sync up very well with each other. This is very, very slow motion, and that's a good thing. The processing delay is kind of annoying, but that's more of something built into the engine and tied to the animation of the guns. When it comes to Black Ops 3, my results were a little bit different. I get the same more or less good hit markers sync up and people flinching and stuff, but I got inconsistent delay from player to player, and generally speaking across multiple tests, I found that it was slightly worse for the host. The host would get a little bit more processing delay than the player, but again, it was kind of inconsistent. The next thing to test is how well deaths sync up, because you never want to die around corners, you never want to feel that people have magic bullets, and in Call of Duty World War II, the deaths synced up pretty dadgum well. I just did a backstab on this guy because it's easy, but most of these are going to be tested with sniper rifles, because you can instantly sniper headshot somebody, and you will see that there is maybe a frame of delay between these two. I'm going to shoot, and then the players die pretty much instantly. In this case, it was interesting. The player died slightly before the host got the notification, which was crazy. Infinite Warfare replays basically the same story in that they have a little bit more animation processing delay thing going on, but players die instantly, it syncs up really well, and the hit markers are in alignment, which is good. Black Ops 3, once again, will tell you a similar story to the other gun hits. For Black Ops 3, for the host shooting, in this particular instance, I got almost zero delay on the animation / processing. When the player shoots, it's the other way around, which was kind of the opposite of my other results, which was weird. And generally speaking, across all of these tests, across all three of the last games, the animation processing delays have been annoying and slightly different from game to game, but all of the deaths have synced up really, really well. In no instance are you really going to be able to get shot and not die, or get magic bullets or super bullets. However, oh boy, this next test is the crazy one. This is the one where I had to slow it down to, I think I'm running 32 times slow motion here, because when it comes to player models, hitboxes, and movement, like input smoothing and processing, things start getting really, really strange. So I've got about a 3-minute slow motion section. This, again, is Call of Duty World War II with the host camping and a player trying to rush around a corner. Now, I'm playing these on preview windows for the most part because I've got other programs running. My scuff jumping and scooting around a corner isn't perfect, but you can clearly see the player gets around the corner and he can see the host, host before the host can see him, which is not ideal. You never want to have that going on. And from test to test, it's all a little bit different, but across this and many that you don't see, I got about 1 to 3 frames of desync of player movement. So the player that rushes has a few frames of advantage. I don't think that World War II is a good game for rushing because of how the sprint out mechanics work and the relative uselessness of the quick draw grip, but even when the host rush, and this one I had to play with a huge delay because I was playing through the OBS window, you can still see that it's more or less the same story, that there are a few frames of player desync. Infinite Warfare, unfortunately, had it really bad, or significantly worse, and I think a lot of that has to do just with player movement speed. With boosting and sliding and 3D movement, you can corner on people way faster, and the engine and models and animation just can't keep up. You can see the very, very big desync there, and that's just rough for Infinite Warfare. Now, that's out of season, that's not relevant anymore, but it is important to compare it to past titles and get an idea of what's going on. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it one more time so you can see how extreme this can be. I know it's a little slow, but I slowed it down because that is really the best way to see it. What I'm doing is I'm sliding around the corner at maximum speed, and the player can see the host a couple of frames before the host can see him, and there's a general disagreement on the player's location in pretty much all of these clips. Now, if you think Infinite Warfare was bad, you should see Black Ops 3 here. Black Ops 3 here, I can corner this box and clearly see the other player for several frames before he can really see me, and there's a pretty big desync. I don't know if it's because Black Ops 3 players actually move faster than Infinite Warfare. I thought Infinite Warfare was generally the fastest, but Black Ops 3 has significant differences in player locations, and this is running on LAN. I mean, that would just really, really mess me up. And that's what pro players, people in the open bracket, people that go to tournaments, that's what they're going to be seeing. It's not just side-to-side movement. In this last clip, I'm actually going to jump up over the box and get vertical movement and be able to see the other player before he can see me. So these results were all kind of surprising for me. I didn't expect for it to be that bad on LAN. So yeah, end of the day results on this is that Call of Duty World War II is performing better on LAN than the past titles, which is a good thing. All 3 of the past titles performed very well when it came to registering hits and making sure that those hits sync up. Each one had a slightly different sort of animation processing delay going on, with Black Ops 3 being the least consistent, Infinite Warfare being the overall longest by like maybe a frame, so that's not too bad, and Call of Duty World War II being probably slightly lesser than the others on average in general. And however, they all did pretty poor when it came to player locations. Player locations are not reported very well online, nor do they report very well in LAN. Some of that is due to field of view issues, some of that is due to predictive input and predictive movement, some of it is literally just desync. And thankfully, World War II runs better than Infinite Warfare or Black Ops 3. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's not running better because amazing optimization, the engine is fantastic or whatever, but just that it's a slower paced game. You don't have jetpacks, you don't have boosters, you can't fling yourself and fly really fast, so obviously you're not going to get that same speed, and with higher speed you get higher desyncs. And my end conclusion with this is that if you're playing at CWL Dallas, I wouldn't worry about LAN lag or LAN conditions too much. It should be just fine. It should not be very much different than this. If you're playing in the open bracket, it shouldn't matter if you're a host or a player on either console. It shouldn't matter what really switches they're running or what the caster PlayStation is doing. It all should more or less run smooth, smoother than it has for the last several LAN events. So I hope that you all have a good time. I hope to see you there. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out. If you want all the weapon stats for World War II in your pocket to go, then look no further than the Ultimate Utility app by Brass Monkey. It's available on iOS and Android. There are links in the description, or you can just search for it in the App Store.